What is up, guys? Welcome to the Being Beautifully Honest podcast and channel. Thanks for being here, being subbed. If you're not, hit the button. And if you're listening on YouTube, hit the like. It's like walking in the room and hitting that light switch. Let's brighten up the place and get into this holy mess. All right, guys. I had some thoughts and I wanted to share it because in light of this scandal, sin situation that this longtime pastor of a mega church in Dallas, Texas. And what is it about these churches in Texas? Because you've got Dr. Tony Evans, mega church in Texas. You've got this creep who was allegedly, well, I won't say allegedly because he admitted it, but he didn't admit it in the way that the now woman, but then girl, told the elders of the church what happened to her, where he was messing with a 12-year-old girl. Okay? Like, let's just repeat that again. A 12-year-old. A child. A baby. Someone's baby. But that pastor, Robert Morris, who was a spiritual advisor to the lunatic who's running for re-election, again, terrorizing us, like, leave us alone. But yeah, another church in Texas. And then you've got Pastor Bishop T.D. Jakes, the big powerhouse, what they call America's preacher, mega church down in Texas. I know there are mega churches across the nation, okay? I know that Texas is not an anomaly, but I just find it interesting that 3 big ones down in Texas have had these scandals recently, and then another big mega church that's down there that has been had a lot said about it. I'll just put it in those terms. Is the guy who kind of gives cartoon character in his look sometimes to me, and has a huge church. He has a former football dome as his church. You know who I'm talking about. If you don't, you remember his name when I remember. I don't follow any of those people, so I just don't really care. But I just had some thoughts about it because when I saw this story that Dr. Tony Evans, who is 74 years old, and he stepped down due to former sin that he committed, and then to now hear that his son, who's also a preacher, a pastor, he delivered a sermon on Father's Day. And I'm going to share this with you. He told the congregation, 3 days before my dad called the family, I was doing a Bible study in Psalm 46. Little did I know that 3 days later, my dad would call us and tell us the exact same thing he told you. No more, no less. Then on Monday, he said, hey, I need you to preach Father's Day for me. I said, okay. So I'm going to pause right there for a moment. The preacher who, in my personal opinion, I feel like was forced to step down, I don't believe that that was his personal choice. I don't believe that God tapped him on the shoulder and say, hey, dude, you know what you did several years ago? Or the past, honestly, is yesterday. So it could have been something that was yesterday, but he said it was something that was committed years ago and it was not a crime. But again, I don't believe that God or Jesus or the angels tapped him on the shoulder to say, look, you need to sit this one out and sit it out for a while, get yourself redeemed, and then come back when you're whole and whatever. I believe that people that may have been on some type of board or somewhat in the church, it's possible that there might have been some type of, I don't know. I don't want to use the word extortion because extortion actually is a crime. But there could have been some embarrassing things, and in light of what they knew, they probably, came up with something with regards to, look, you need to sit this out for a while. I don't know. I don't know the ins and outs of all of that stuff. But the reason why I wanted to talk about this is the fact that he himself, not anyone else, but the man that stepped down, he said he told his son, I need you to preach on Sunday. So he continues. And he says, I will rather boast about my weaknesses so that the power of Christ may dwell on me. You have to be willing to boast about your weakness. That's why my father is still teaching me, who can get up and say, hey, I'm going to take time for spiritual restoration and be restored because I fell short. That's a hard thing to do because people don't like talking about weaknesses. They only like talking about strengths. And the audience applauded. Now, while I will say that's a true statement, it's a true thing. I'm not negating what he's saying. But to me, I just feel a bit weird in hearing him say the man who had to step down due to sin told his son, I need you to preach on Sunday. And that's the thing. Again, don't follow any of these people, don't know the dynamics of these ministries, but to me, I just feel that this church industry, not to compare it to the prison complex, which is privatized and it's for profit. It's not about rehabilitation anymore. They used to be called correctional facilities. Now it's just prison, and it's prison complexes, and they're owned by these corporate private institutions, and they're making mega money off of having prisoners. I feel that a lot of these churches, they have nothing to do with the order of being called by God, and God led them and directed them to do this and that and the other. These are big businesses for them. So that's why you have these churches where the entire family is in the ministry, not just going to the church, but they are actually in the ministry in terms of working in it. And they're making mega money. And then when the person gets either to a point where they're so much older and they're like stepping down, they'll act like it's a God thing, that they're handing over the reins to their son or their daughter or, son-in-law or whatever, something like that. But it's usually someone in the family. It's not a co-pastor that they didn't know before they came there, and it's someone that was built up in the ministry, just learning and teaching and glorifying God and learning the word of God and being, feeling like they've been led to this ministry to be here, to build here, to grow here. No, it's running in the family. It's a dynasty. So you've got Dr. Tony Evans, his son preaching, I guess maybe other children that are adults that are preachers as well. You've got this creep who was doing stuff, I'm just going to say it like that, to a 12-year-old and over, not saying if it just only happened one time, that's okay. You don't get a pass for that either. But this woman who's come out now to say that he was doing these things to me, she's in her 50s now. She was 12 when it started. Cindy Clemishire, Robert Morris, his family is in the church, and so he stepped down, but the family is still there. And then you got T.D. Jakes, Bishop T.D. Jakes. He had been running that Woman Thou Art Loose conference for years, and now it's shifted to become Women Evolve. And his daughter, Sarah Jakes Roberts, is the one that he has put the mantle on, or whatever they try to make into some spiritual thing, when in all actuality, it's nothing spiritual about it. It's a business. It's a family dynasty. I'm calling it for what it is. I don't care if anyone thinks that I'm hating on them. I don't want anything that they have. I am thankful that I didn't come into anything like that, because that really has helped me to realize who God truly is and have my own personal relationship with him. And these people have benefited off of the emotions and the money of the people who go to these institutions. So people can say Sarah is blessed by God and all of this other stuff, but she has benefited off of being the daughter to this man. Dr. Tony Evans, whoever his children are, they have benefited off of being the children of this man. Robert Morris, his family benefits off of being the children of this creep who was messing with a 12-year-old to begin. It's disgusting. So he steps down, but he's still going to be profiting because the family is still there. They're stepping in. How is, where is the lines being drawn? I don't want to hear anything about judge not and all this other stuff. Bullcrap. Because a lot of people take these scriptures out of context, and someone says something recently. I was having a conversation with them, and I was like, that is so good, the way they laid it down. But they called, a lot of these people are fortune cookie Christians. They pull out a line. These fortune cookie Christians, they just pull out a line out of the Bible and they take it all out of context, don't even know what it really means. And that's what a lot of people do these days. It's just absolutely ridiculous. A lot of these so-called preachers are nothing more than either glorified motivational speakers. I love motivational speakers. Motivation is amazing. It's necessary. You can't make anyone motivated. They have to have a desire to want to be motivated, and then they'll seek out things that motivate them. But you can't make anyone motivated. But a lot of these so-called preachers are nothing more than glorified motivational speakers. I personally don't care for Sarah Jakes Roberts. I'm not saying that she hasn't said anything that hasn't been inspiring or motivational. 100%. Would I want her to be my preacher? Absolutely not. There are so many great preachers that are in churches that you will never hear anything about. They don't have a huge congregation. They don't have a big social media following, if they even have social media. But a lot of these people, they have benefited off of being in the legacy and in the dynasty of these so-called mega church pastors. And to know that stuff like this is going on, and then these people have been in these spaces for many, many years. I've heard a whole lot of different things about Bishop T.D. Jakes. I'm not going down that rabbit hole, but we all know the rumors about him and Diddy and all the stuff that Diddy's going through now. And I've had a few different commentaries about him being his alleged mentor with all of the devious things that he was doing. It's just not a good look for him. Even if he wasn't doing anything at the Diddy parties, it's just a shame and a scandal. Dr. Tony Evans, he did not admit what he did sin-wise. He just said it wasn't criminal and it happened a long time ago. It leaves many people with questions, especially those that follow him and go to his ministry. I personally could care less, but I wanted to talk about it from the perspective of these dynasties and legacies that these people build up in these churches, and they make sure that they are insulated and protected. So not just if something happens and goes down in a scandal, but when it comes to them continuing the ministry, they want to keep it in the family. Now, some may say, well, there's nothing wrong with that. Why wouldn't they want to make sure that their family is set up and would be okay? I believe that there are other ways to do that. They could create other businesses and hire them on and staff them in those places. But to have these people to be the ones that are supposedly the heads of the church that are governing through the word of God and teaching people and counseling people. And I don't even think they really do that. It's more so just the fame and the some of them now, the glam, the recognition, the following, the sound bites on social media, that type of stuff. They're not meeting with people personally and counseling them and praying with them personally. I don't believe that happens when you get to a place where they have these mega churches. But I just see this as very scandalous, very questionable, and that's why I wanted to talk about it. Because before some of the stuff started coming out about Diddy was when T.D. Jakes started handing some things over publicly to his daughter, Sarah Jakes Roberts. But ironically, he didn't hand it over to his sons, and he didn't hand it over to his oldest daughter, Cora Jakes, who has gone through a lot of scandal. It's alleged, and I believe it, but it's alleged that she took this woman, Michelle Loud's son, using spiritual manipulation and spiritual coercion. I 100% believe this young lady. I don't believe she's lying about this. I don't believe she went through things the right way and then she just, one day decided to change her mind and come out and blast Cora. I don't believe that. And knowing the Jakes family and that ministry and all the power that they hold, she knew what she was up against by coming out and saying that. So a lot of people are intimidated are in fear of coming out and saying anything. So to get the guts finally to come out and say something, she felt like the opening was open for her to do so when Cora Jakes' husband was allegedly touching, we'll just put it like that, the adopted daughter. And now he's been locked up and convicted. I don't even think he was tried. I believe he just did a plea deal. And I think they said he got like 30, 40 years behind bars. It's crazy. But this is a man that, again, all in the family. Bishop T.D. Jakes had his son-in-law and his daughter Cora Jakes, who allegedly has some mental issues and some other issues, over the children's ministry. So why didn't he hand the ministry, the Women Evolve situation that was changed to that from the Women That Are Loose, which is just a big cash cow that he had every year for, I don't know, over 20 years now? Because Cora Jakes was not good for the brand. You see, it had nothing to do with God passed over Cora and the sons and went to Sarah Jakes. Even though she's had her issues in the past with some things and some scandals, she was the one that was more marketable and less salacious and less scandalous, shall we say. So again, it was better for him to choose her for the brand, for the dynasty, for the family business, which the Potter's house is. It's a family business. It's not something that God called to be there and to be saving souls and all of the other stuff that the church says that they're supposed to do. Honestly, just to see these things like this, and Robert Morris, who was doing things to a young girl, and now he's, closer to leaving this earth than he ever was, and he's stepping down, but his family is still involved in the ministry, so he's still benefiting personally. Bishop T.D. Jakes still benefiting personally. And Dr. Tony Evans, he stepped down to sin. Nobody knows what it means. What is that? And you're 74 and you say it happened years ago. Well, why now? Why step down now? And if you're going to step down, why not tell the people that are invested, let's just put it like that, invested in your ministry, what really happened? Because I know inquiring minds want to know. Some people may say, well, they ain't any of their business what he did. Well, if he came out and said that, be like Usher. If I'm going to tell it, then I've got to tell it all. Confess. If you feel like it's that important to step down. And then also to be able to tell your son, I need you to preach on Sunday. He's still, in a way, still there. So he may not be getting up in the pulpit and teaching and preaching, but he's still benefiting. So I just wanted to talk about that from that perspective, and you guys can let me know what you think respectfully in the comment section below. Thanks, guys, for being here, liking, and subscribing. I'm Beth, just being beautifully honest. So until next time, I wanted to keep it brief, beautiful, and now I'm going to say bye.